Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In today's session, we are going to learn about CBSE Class 9 Artificial Intelligence, Subject Specific Skills, Part B. Our topic is Unit 2 Data Literacy and more specifically, Chapter 2.1 Basics of Data Literacy. Data is an important part of our everyday life. We come across data in many different forms. For example, our marks in school, the number of students in a class, daily weather information, survey results, and even the number of people using a particular service are all examples of data. But simply collecting data is not enough. We also need to understand what the data tells us, how to interpret it correctly, and how to use it to make meaningful decisions. The ability to understand, read, analyze, interpret, and communicate data is known as data literacy. Data literacy is especially important in artificial intelligence because artificial intelligence systems depend heavily on data. Good quality and properly understood data helps us make better decisions and develop more reliable artificial intelligence systems. In this chapter, we will learn the basic concepts of data literacy and understand why data is important in our daily lives as well as in the field of artificial intelligence. So, let's begin our journey into Unit 2 Data Literacy, starting with Chapter 2.1 Basics of Data Literacy. Now, let us take a quick look at the topics that we are going to cover in this chapter. First, we will begin with an introduction to data literacy and understand what data literacy means. Next, we will learn how to define data literacy and understand its importance in our daily lives. After that, we will discuss the data pyramid and its different stages. This will help us understand how raw data can gradually become useful information, knowledge, and wisdom. We will then look at an important question. Why is data literacy essential? We will understand why being able to work with data is an important skill in today's digital world. Next, we will discuss the impact of data literacy and see how data literacy can influence the way we learn, work, communicate, and make decisions. After this, we will learn how to become data literate. As a part of this topic, we will study the data literacy process framework, which provides a systematic way of working with data. Finally, we will move on to data security and privacy. Here, we will understand what data privacy means, why data privacy is important, and the different data privacy measures that can help us protect our personal and sensitive information. So, these are the major topics that we will cover in this chapter. Now, let us continue with the next set of topics related to data security and data privacy. First, we will understand what data security means. We will also discuss why data security is important and learn about the different types of data security controls that can be used to protect data from unauthorized access, misuse, loss, or damage. Next, we will understand the differences between data security and data privacy. Although these two terms are closely related, they have different meanings and purposes. After that, we will explore an important question: how are data security and data privacy related to artificial intelligence? Since artificial intelligence systems depend heavily on data, protecting that data and respecting people's privacy are both very important. Finally, we will learn about some best practices for cybersecurity. These practices can help us protect our devices, accounts, and information from common online threats. So, in this part of the chapter, we will focus on understanding data security, data privacy, their connection with artificial intelligence, and the basic practices that can help us stay safe in the digital world. Now, let us begin with the introduction to data literacy. First, let us understand what data means. Data refers to any collection of raw facts, figures, or statistics that can be stored and processed by a computer. Data can appear in many different forms. For example, it can be in the form of numbers, text, images, audio, or video. Next, we have the term literacy. Literacy refers to the ability to read, comprehend, and use information effectively. So, when we combine these two concepts, we get data literacy. In simple words, we can say data plus literacy equals data literacy. Data literacy means knowing how to understand, work with, and communicate about data. It involves being able to collect, analyze, and present data in ways that are meaningful and easy to understand. For example, if we collect the marks of students in a class, simply having those marks is not enough. We should also be able to understand what the marks tell us, analyze the results, and present the information clearly. That is the basic idea behind data literacy. Now, let us understand the meaning of data literacy in a little more detail. Data literacy is essential because it enables individuals to make informed decisions, think critically, solve problems, and innovate. Let us understand this using the diagram shown on the slide. On one side, we have data. Data refers to raw facts or figures. On the other side, we have literacy. Literacy is the ability to read, comprehend, analyze, and communicate information. When we combine data with these skills, we get data literacy. So, in simple words, data literacy is the ability to understand, interpret, analyze, and communicate with data. A data literate person can look at data, understand what it means, analyze the information carefully, and communicate the findings in a clear and meaningful way. This is important because it helps us use data effectively instead of simply collecting or looking at numbers and information. Therefore, data literacy is an important skill for making better decisions and solving problems in our personal, academic, and professional lives. Now, let us understand the data pyramid and its different stages. The data pyramid is a conceptual model that shows the hierarchical structure of data processing. It explains how raw data can gradually be transformed into useful and meaningful wisdom. The process begins with raw data. Raw data consists of facts and figures that, by themselves, may not have much meaning or usefulness. When this raw data is processed and analyzed, it becomes meaningful information. Information helps us understand what the data is telling us. As we gain a deeper understanding of this information, it develops into knowledge. Knowledge allows us to understand patterns, relationships, and possible outcomes. Finally, knowledge can lead to wisdom. Wisdom helps us apply what we have learned to make informed decisions and take appropriate actions. So, the data pyramid represents a progression from raw data to information, then knowledge, and finally wisdom. This transformation helps us make better decisions and develop a deeper understanding of the world around us. Let us now begin with the first stage of the data pyramid, data. As we move from the bottom to the top, we start with data in its raw form. At this stage, the data has not yet been processed or organized, so it may not be very useful by itself. For example, raw data can be compared to scattered pieces of a puzzle. We have all the pieces, but we cannot yet see the complete picture. Similarly, it can be compared to a pile of ingredients before cooking a meal. The ingredients are available, but they have not yet been transformed into something meaningful. So, the first stage of the data pyramid is data, which forms the foundation for the stages that follow. In the next slides, we will understand how this raw data gradually develops into information, knowledge, and finally wisdom. Now, let us move to the next stages of the data pyramid, information, and knowledge. First, let us understand information. Raw data is processed through different methods, such as analyzing and organizing, to provide meaningful information. In simple words, processing data makes it easier for us to understand and interpret. For example, it is like arranging the scattered pieces of a puzzle to see a meaningful picture, or using different ingredients to prepare a dish. The next stage is knowledge. Processed information develops into knowledge. Knowledge helps us understand how things are happening in the world around us. For example, once we arrange the puzzle pieces, we can understand how they come together to form the complete image. Similarly, when we know the ingredients and the steps involved, we understand how a particular dish is prepared. So, the progression is: data is processed to create information, and information helps us develop knowledge. Now, let us understand the final stage of the data pyramid, which is wisdom. Wisdom takes us a step further by helping us understand why things are happening in a particular way. In simple words, wisdom helps us understand the important reasons or causes behind the trends and patterns that we observe. For example, think about putting together the pieces of a puzzle. Wisdom is like understanding not only the complete picture, but also the strategy and reasoning behind arranging the pieces in a particular order. Similarly, it is like becoming a master chef who not only knows how to prepare a dish, but also understands the science behind it. So, wisdom gives us a deeper understanding and helps us use what we have learned to make better decisions. Now, let us understand the different stages of the data pyramid with the help of a simple example of temperature. At the data stage, we have a list of random temperature readings. These are simply individual temperature values collected over different days. When we organize these numbers into a chart showing the daily temperatures, the data becomes information. Next, by looking at this information, we can understand that temperatures generally rise during the day and drop at night. This represents knowledge. Finally, when we understand that these temperature changes occur because of factors such as the Earth's rotation and exposure to sunlight, we reach the stage of wisdom. So, this example clearly shows how we move from data to information, information to knowledge, and knowledge to wisdom. Now, let us understand why data literacy is essential. Data literacy equips individuals with the skills and knowledge needed to work effectively in today's technology-driven and data-driven world. There are many reasons why data literacy is important. Let us look at some of the major ones. First, data literacy enhances decision-making skills. When we understand data, trends, and evidence, we can make decisions based on facts rather than assumptions. This helps us make more informed and reliable decisions. Second, data literacy develops critical thinking skills. It helps us question assumptions, identify patterns, draw logical conclusions, and evaluate whether the evidence and data are accurate. Third, data literacy helps in solving problems. By analyzing data, we can understand complex problems better and develop meaningful solutions. This also strengthens our ability to think critically. Fourth, data literacy encourages innovation. It gives us the tools and techniques to explore data from different perspectives. This can help us identify new ideas, respond to emerging trends, and develop solutions according to changing needs. So, data literacy is important because it helps us make better decisions, think critically, solve problems, and innovate in a data-driven world. Now, let us understand the impact of data literacy. Data literacy has a significant impact on different areas of society, including business, education, healthcare, public policy, and social equity. Let us look at each of these areas one by one. First, business. Data literacy can support business growth and innovation. Data literate employees can analyze data to understand market trends, customer behavior, and business performance. This helps companies make better decisions and maintain their competitive position. Second, education. Data literacy is important for both students and educators. Students can use data to better understand and analyze information, while educators can use data to improve teaching, identify areas where students may need additional support, and make the learning process more effective. Third, healthcare. Healthcare professionals can use data to improve diagnosis, treatment plans, and patient monitoring. Hospitals and clinics can also use data to manage resources effectively, reduce waste, and improve their overall efficiency. Fourth, public policy. Policymakers can use data to design, implement, and evaluate policies more effectively. Data-based evidence also promotes transparency and helps the public understand and evaluate government decisions. Fifth, social equity. Data literacy can help identify differences and inequalities in areas such as education, healthcare, and employment. It can support the effective distribution of resources to areas where they are needed the most. Therefore, data literacy has a wide-ranging impact and plays an important role in making better decisions across different sectors of society. Now, let us understand how to become data literate. A data literate person is someone who can interact with data, understand the world around them, and derive meaningful information from data. There are several important steps that can help us become data literate. First, data identification and sourcing. We should identify where the data comes from and check whether the source is reliable and trustworthy. Second, understand the basics. We should learn the basic concepts of data, different types of data, and understand that not every type of data is suitable for every kind of analysis. Third, learn data analysis tools. There are many tools and applications available for analyzing data. Learning these tools helps us interpret data effectively, from calculating simple averages to performing more complex analysis. Fourth, gain statistical knowledge. Statistics plays an important role in data literacy. Understanding basic statistical concepts helps us analyze and interpret data correctly. Fifth, use data visualization. We should learn how to represent data using graphs and charts. Tools such as Tableau, Matplotlib, and Python can be used for effective data visualization. Sixth, learn data manipulation. Data often needs to be organized according to our requirements. Techniques such as filtering, sorting, grouping, and removing unnecessary data can help us extract useful insights from large datasets. Seventh, practice data cleaning. Finally, we need to learn how to clean data by dealing with missing values, inaccuracies, redundancies, and outliers, and by converting data into a suitable format for analysis. So, by developing these skills step by step, we can become more confident and effective in working with data. Now, let us understand the data literacy process framework. The data literacy framework provides a structured approach to developing the skills needed to use data effectively and with different levels of awareness. Each level builds upon the previous one, helping individuals develop a deeper understanding of how to work with data. The framework consists of several important stages. The first stage is plan. This involves defining the goal, understanding the participants, deciding the execution strategy, and setting a suitable time frame. The second stage is communicate. Here, a communication plan is designed to explain the purpose of the goal and encourage commitment towards it. The third stage is assess. At this stage, participants are introduced to a data literacy assessment tool to understand their comfort level and skills related to data. The fourth stage is develop culture. The aim is to improve data literacy skills through learning and gradually make data literacy a part of the existing culture. The fifth stage is prescriptive learning. This provides suitable learning resources that individuals can choose according to their learning needs and style. Finally, we have evaluate. This stage involves designing methods to measure the effectiveness of the program and deciding how frequently its progress should be evaluated. So, the data literacy process framework follows a systematic approach: plan, communicate, assess, develop culture, prescriptive learning, and evaluate. Let us now look at the first stage of the data literacy process framework: plan. Planning provides a clear roadmap and a structured approach for improving data literacy at different levels of awareness. In this stage, there are three important things to focus on. First, we need to define specific and measurable goals. This helps us clearly understand what we want to achieve. Second, we need to develop a timeline and set milestones for achieving these goals. This helps us track our progress step by step. Third, we need to identify and allocate the required resources. These resources may include the budget, tools, and people needed to carry out the plan. So, the plan stage helps us clearly define our goals, decide when they should be achieved, and identify the resources required to achieve them. Now, let us move to the second stage of the data literacy process framework: communication. Clear and consistent communication about data literacy is important for creating an effective data literacy framework within an organization. The first step is to design a well-formulated communication plan. This plan should explain the purpose of the goal and encourage the team to commit to it. Next, we can share stories and case studies that demonstrate the positive impact of data literacy. This can help motivate and encourage the team to participate. Finally, it is important to continuously monitor the effectiveness of communication efforts and make adjustments whenever needed. This helps improve communication and minimize the risk of unnecessary costs. So, effective communication ensures that everyone understands the purpose of the data literacy program and works towards the same goal. Now, let us move to the third stage of the data literacy process framework: assess. In this stage, participants are introduced to data literacy assessment tools to find out how comfortable and confident they are when working with data. The assessment helps us understand three important things. First, we can identify the skills that participants already have. Second, we can identify the skills and areas they need to learn or improve. And third, based on these findings, we can create customized training plans according to their individual needs. So, the assess stage helps us understand the current level of data literacy and plan suitable learning opportunities for each participant. Now, let us move to the fourth stage of the data literacy process framework: develop culture. The main aim of this stage is to make data-driven decision-making a fundamental part of everyday work within an organization. For this, leaders play an important role in encouraging and supporting a data-driven culture. Organizations should also conduct training programs to develop data literacy skills through learning at different levels. Another important aspect is to encourage a collaborative environment where people can learn from one another and gradually adopt data literacy as a part of the existing organizational culture. So, the develop culture stage focuses on making data literacy a regular and natural part of the way an organization works and makes decisions. Now, let us move to the fifth stage of the data literacy process framework: prescriptive learning. Prescriptive learning is an educational approach that provides structured instruction and targeted learning support based on an individual's learning needs. In this approach, organizations provide a variety of learning resources that can match different learning styles, needs, and preferences. This helps create customized learning journeys for different individuals. For example, learners with different educational backgrounds may require different types of support. It also provides a variety of learning materials that can make concepts easier to understand. Another advantage is that learners can progress at their own pace according to their schedules and learning speed. Prescriptive learning also creates a comfortable environment that encourages continuous learning and self-directed exploration. Most importantly, each participant can choose the materials and learning methods that work best for them. This makes learning more effective and helps learners gradually improve their data literacy skills. Now, let us move to the final stage of the data literacy process framework, evaluate. In this stage, we design an evaluation metric to assess the progress of participants and measure the overall effectiveness of the data literacy program. Evaluation helps us in several ways. First, it helps to improve the overall data literacy skills of the participants. Second, we can establish clear criteria to measure the success of the program and the individual growth of each participant. Finally, we can establish a regular schedule for assessing participant progress. This allows us to monitor their development over time and make improvements wherever required. So, the evaluate stage helps us understand whether the data literacy program is achieving its goals and whether the participants are making continuous progress. Now, let us move on to an important topic: data security and privacy. The terms data security and data privacy are often used interchangeably, but they actually have different meanings. Data privacy is mainly concerned with who can access and use the data. For example, personal information such as bank account details and credit card numbers should only be accessed by authorized people. On the other hand, data security is concerned with protecting data from unauthorized access, misuse, and breaches. It also protects data from being tampered with, destroyed, or altered. So, in simple terms, data privacy focuses on who can access the data, while data security focuses on protecting the data. Both are important for keeping personal and sensitive information safe. Now, let us understand what data privacy means. Data privacy is also known as information privacy. It deals with the proper handling of sensitive information, including personal and confidential data. The main focus of data privacy is to protect an individual's rights and ensure that only authorized people can view or access the data. However, there are several everyday activities that can put our data privacy at risk. For example, downloading unverified applications may expose our personal information. Using public Wi-Fi without taking proper precautions can also create privacy risks. Similarly, not updating software, sharing our location data, or using weak passwords without biometric security can make our information less secure. We should also be careful about oversharing information on social media, accepting cookies without understanding them, and storing sensitive information online. Using unsecured devices, clicking on phishing links, and accepting terms of service without reading them can also compromise our data privacy. Therefore, we should be careful about how and where we share our personal information and always take appropriate steps to protect our data. Now, let us understand why data privacy is important. Data privacy is crucial because a data breach can seriously affect individuals, businesses, and society as a whole. First, data breaches in an organization can result in financial losses. For example, stolen funds, fraudulent transactions, or even extortion demands can cause serious financial damage. Second, a data breach at a government agency can potentially affect national security. Sensitive information, such as military plans, intelligence operations, or diplomatic information, could fall into the wrong hands and lead to serious consequences. Third, data breaches in a hospital can expose personal health information. If such information is misused, it can seriously affect the individuals involved. Finally, stolen personal information can be used for identity theft. Criminals may use someone else's information to open fake accounts, apply for loans, or make purchases in that person's name. Therefore, protecting data privacy is essential to prevent financial loss, misuse of sensitive information, identity theft, and other serious consequences. Now, let us look at some important data privacy measures that can help us protect personal and sensitive information. First, we should collect information about the data we have and use appropriate strategies for handling and storing it safely. Second, we should follow the principle of collecting only the information that is absolutely necessary. This helps minimize the risk associated with unnecessary data collection. We should also follow relevant data protection guidelines. Third, we should always take the user's permission before collecting their data. This helps respect the user's privacy rights and interests. So, by understanding what data we collect, limiting unnecessary data collection, and taking proper permission, we can take important steps towards protecting data privacy. Now, let us understand what data security means. Data security involves protecting digital information from unauthorized access, corruption, and theft throughout its entire life cycle. In simple words, data security means protecting data from being stolen, misused, damaged, or destroyed. It focuses on securing sensitive data and preventing unauthorized access, theft, or corruption, whether the data is personal or not. To achieve this, appropriate systems and networks need to be established to protect important digital information from malicious or fraudulent activities. So, the main purpose of data security is to ensure that data remains protected, safe, and secure from unauthorized access, misuse, and damage. Now, let us understand why data security is important. Data security is important because a data breach can have serious consequences for an organization, including legal action, financial penalties, and damage to its reputation. In today's digital age, the amount of data being generated and stored is increasing rapidly. This also increases the possibility of cyber attacks. Therefore, strong data security is essential for protecting private, financial, and important organizational information. Data security also helps protect organizations from financial losses and interruptions in their operations. Another important benefit is that it helps ensure that data remains accurate and accessible to authorized users. Finally, effective data security reduces the risk of data loss and other security threats that could disrupt operations and cause significant harm. Therefore, protecting data is essential for maintaining the safety, accuracy, availability, and reliability of information. Now, let us look at the different types of data security controls. We will begin with one of the most basic and important security measures: strong passwords. A strong password should contain a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. It should also be difficult for unauthorized people or automated programs to guess or crack. As shown on the slide, examples of strong passwords include combinations such as mHashP52s at $V or N4 %VQ2 !P. it is important to keep your passwords private and never share them with others. We should also avoid using easily guessable information, such as birth dates, anniversary dates, or common number combinations. A strong and unique password is a simple but important step towards protecting our data and accounts. Now, let us continue with the different data security controls. The first control on this slide is authentication. Authentication is the process of verifying a user's identity before allowing them to access a system or account. One common form of authentication is multi-factor authentication, or MFA. It provides an additional layer of security after the user enters their password. For example, the user may be asked to enter a one-time code received on a smartphone or email. Authentication can also involve fingerprints, facial recognition, passwords, or PINs. The next security control is access controls. Access controls are security measures that restrict access to sensitive data and ensure that only authorized individuals or entities can view, modify, or interact with it. By limiting access to only those who need it, access controls help reduce the risk of unauthorized access. So, authentication verifies who the user is, while access controls determine what that authorized user is allowed to access. Now, let us continue with two more important data security controls: data backup and encryption. First, let us understand data backup. Data backup is the process of creating copies of data so that it can be restored if the original data is lost or damaged. Data loss can happen because of natural disasters, accidents, cyber attacks, or other unexpected events. Backups can be stored using physical storage media or in the cloud so that the data can be recovered when required. The next security control is encryption. Encryption is a security technique that converts readable data, called plaintext, into an unreadable format known as ciphertext using an algorithm and an encryption key. Only authorized individuals with the appropriate decryption key can convert the encrypted data back into its original form. Therefore, even if encrypted data is captured by an attacker, it cannot be easily understood or used. So, backup helps us recover lost data, while encryption helps protect data from unauthorized access. Now, let us continue with two more important data security controls: data disposal and firewall and antivirus software. First, let us understand data disposal. Data disposal refers to the process of securely deleting or destroying data that is no longer needed. The purpose is to prevent unauthorized access, recovery, or misuse of the information. Sensitive information should be disposed of carefully so that it does not fall into the wrong hands. For example, paper documents and physical storage media such as CDs and DVDs can be shredded or destroyed so that the information cannot be recovered or read. The next security control is firewall and antivirus software. Firewall and antivirus software can help detect and prevent suspicious or harmful activities on our devices. A firewall uses predefined rules to inspect the data packets entering and leaving a network. It can help block malware and unauthorized network traffic from accessing devices. Antivirus software helps detect and deal with malicious software. Therefore, keeping firewall and antivirus software updated is an important step towards maintaining data security. Now, let us look at two more data security controls: data masking and training. First, let us understand data masking. Data masking is a technique used to hide or obscure sensitive information. It replaces real data with similar but fake data, so that even if the information is accessed by an unauthorized person, it cannot be easily understood or misused. Unlike encryption, which converts data into ciphertext using an encryption algorithm. Data masking replaces the original data with a modified version. Masked data can also be useful when real data is not required, such as during software testing or user training. The next control is training. Organizations should conduct regular data security training sessions to make employees aware of data protection practices. Employees should be taught to recognize suspicious emails and links, keep their devices locked when unattended, keep software updated, and avoid sharing passwords. Such training helps create awareness and encourages employees to follow safe data security practices in their everyday work. Now, let us look at the final set of data security controls. First, we have audits and testing of security systems. Regular audits and testing help organizations check whether their security measures are working effectively. This can include checking security policies, malware protection, firewalls, Wi-Fi security, hardware security, application security, email security, and compliance. Regular testing helps identify weaknesses and allows organizations to take corrective measures to strengthen their data security. The next topic is other basic preventive measures. Being aware of our surroundings and possible threats, including threats from insiders, is important for maintaining security. It is also important to follow security regulations and guidelines and stay aware of cyber threats and activities. These basic preventive measures, along with regular security checks, help create a safer digital environment and provide better protection for data. Now, let us understand the differences between data security and data privacy. Although these two concepts are closely related, they focus on different aspects of protecting data. First, let us look at data privacy. Data privacy ensures the ethical and lawful use of data. It focuses on how data is collected, used, shared, and stored, while protecting the rights of individuals over their data. On the other hand, data security focuses on protecting data from unauthorized access and data breaches. It involves safeguarding different types of information, including personal data, business data, and intellectual property, from various security threats. So, in simple terms, data privacy is about how data should be collected and used responsibly, while data security is about protecting that data from threats and unauthorized access. Both are essential for responsible and secure handling of data. Now, let us understand how data security and data privacy are related to artificial intelligence. Data security and data privacy are both crucial components of artificial intelligence. First, let us look at data security in artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence systems often rely on large amounts of data for their training and operation. If this data is accessed or tampered with without authorization, it can lead to inaccurate AI models and incorrect outcomes. Many AI applications also process sensitive information, such as personal, financial, and health-related data. Therefore, strong data security measures are important to prevent data breaches and unauthorized access. Now, let us look at data privacy in artificial intelligence. Data privacy is closely connected with the ethical use of artificial intelligence. AI systems should follow applicable data privacy laws and regulations to protect individuals' rights and maintain public trust. AI systems should also ensure that data is collected, shared, and used appropriately, with proper consent wherever required. Therefore, both data security and data privacy are essential for building safe, responsible, transparent, and trustworthy artificial intelligence systems. Now, let us look at some best practices for cybersecurity. We use various digital devices in our daily lives, so our data can always be at risk. Cybersecurity helps protect our computers, mobile devices, networks, electronic systems, and data from malicious attacks. Let us begin with some important do's. First, always use encryption techniques to protect sensitive data. Next, use proper access controls, such as strong passwords or biometric authentication, so that unauthorized people cannot access your data. It is also important to regularly update your operating system and other software. Updates can help protect your device from known security vulnerabilities. You should also activate two-factor authentication or 2FA whenever possible for an additional layer of security. Always download software from trusted sources and scan files before opening them. Finally, when entering sensitive information online, look for websites that use HTTPS, especially when logging in. Following these simple practices can help us keep our devices, accounts, and data more secure. Let us continue with a few more important do's for cybersecurity. First, adjust your social media privacy settings so that your personal information and posts are visible only to people you trust. Always lock your screen when you move away from your device. This helps prevent unauthorized access. When using the internet, connect only with trusted individuals and be careful about accepting unknown people online. It is also important to use secure Wi-Fi networks, especially when accessing personal or sensitive information. Finally, if you experience online bullying, do not ignore it. Report it to a trusted adult immediately. Following these simple habits can help us stay safer and more responsible in the digital world. Now, let us look at some important don'ts that we should follow while using the internet. First, avoid sharing personal information, such as your real name or phone number, online unless it is necessary and safe to do so. Never send personal pictures to strangers or post them publicly on social media. Do not open emails or attachments from unknown sources, as they may contain harmful files or links. You should also ignore suspicious requests asking for sensitive information, such as bank account details. Never share your passwords or answers to security questions with anyone. Do not copy or use copyrighted software without permission. We should also avoid cyberbullying and offensive language while communicating online. And most importantly, never share the one-time password or OTP that you receive on your mobile phone. An OTP is meant to remain confidential. Following these don'ts can help protect our personal information, accounts, devices, and online identity. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this lesson helpful, please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more educational content. You can download the complete notes from the link given in the description box. Also, join our Telegram channel for study materials and updates, and follow our Instagram page for more educational content. All the links are provided in the description box below. Keep learning and stay connected.